By getting this design in the outer border, I will never have a ruffled border. When I get finished with the quilt and need to do the border, it'll already be done. But I do need to continue to stabilize, and so there's this line right here that separates the small border from the outside border. And then I have squares in here that are 12-inch squares. And so I will stitch in the ditch around and define each one of those squares as I continue to do the outside border design. Once I get the stitch in the ditch done on this inner border, I will be able to also place the design in the inner border. So I'm back in regulated stitch now, so that I can stop and start in case I get out of the ditch a little bit. I can stop and get back in the ditch and start across here and put my ruler either like this or behind, or I can try the freehand as I come across like this. So I'm going to come over and just stitch in between these, in between the blocks. Now, I want to start here in the corner, but I won't start in the corner. I'll start a little ways away from the corner. Never start or stop in an intersection. So I go to the corner by taking little stitches like that. And then I'll come across, stitch into the ditch here, just separating my blocks. You don't want to leave anything like if it was a 16-inch block, that would be a little too much to leave blank. I'd need to baste across it or something like that. And I can come right up this seam to separate the next block. And that will take me to my stitch in the ditch. And then I'm not going to stop right there, even though I'm at the intersection where I want to stop. I'm going to take little stitches across where I've already stitched in the ditch and complete that. Okay, now I'm coming across the other block. Like that, and when I get to that seam, then I will do little tiny stitches in the other direction up that seam. When I say little tiny stitches, I'm thinking 15 to 20 stitches to the inch, and that will secure that thread in a row so that you don't have to worry about that ever coming out. So now I have these two blocks stabilized and my stitch in the ditch around the two borders. So I'll continue to roll, I'll continue to do the outer border and stitch in the ditch, and then we'll come back and show you how to finish that. As I've come down to the bottom of this quilt, stabilizing it, when I get down to the bottom, I have a piece of tape, and you can use masking tape for this or whatever, that I put over those pins so that you don't hurt yourself with them. And then you can just tape that tape right on your canvas and use it the next time that you bring it up. But when I get down to this point, then it's time for me to take the pins out, and I always make sure I have my pin cushion. So I'll put my pin cushion back on. I don't like to stop and have to put pins in the pin cushion, but you can pretty well take most of the pins out. If you felt like you needed to put a couple more pins back in just to hold that down and hold it in place as you come down and stitch right along the edge like this. Remember that we want to stay right close to the very edge of that quilt, because we may need to sew on and off the quilt, and we don't want to have to take any stitches out when we bind it. So I'll go across the bottom of the quilt doing this method.